Hi everyone, I am Reniera, student at Marian College Kutikanam Autonomous. We the team Ajin Matthew, Ajish Augustine and myself doing this presentation under the guidance of Dr. Mendes Jacob, Director, PG Department of Computer Applications at Marian College Kutikanam Autonomous. In this video, we are presenting before you the topic Monte Carlo simulation in operation research. Video, I would like to discuss with you the contents like introduction, examples of Monte Carlo simulation technique, few advantages and limitations of the same. Then we will see the various applications of Monte Carlo simulation. Finally, we will end up with the conclusion. Let's start with our introduction. Monte Carlo method is a common name for a wide variety of stochastic techniques. That's why, in general, to call something a Monte Carlo method, all we need to do is use random numbers to examine the problem. That's why we can define these techniques on the basis of random numbers and probability statistics to investigate problems in various areas like economics, chemical and biophysics, nuclear physics, flow of traffic and many others. Let's see what is simulation. Simulation is nothing but it's the process of designing a model of a real system and conducting experiments with that model for a purpose of understanding the behavior for the operation of system. That is, it's just like a duplication of the original system to understand the implementation of real system. And Monte Carlo methods are used to solve problems in various fields like telecommunications, physical sciences, finance and business, many others. Then, Monte Carlo method is a simulation technique. As we all know, it is statistical distribution of functions which are created by using a series of random numbers. And Monte Carlo method has the ability to develop many months or years of data within a few minutes on a digital computer. This method is generally used to solve problems which cannot be adequately represented by the mathematical models. So it is not possible by analytical method. Then Monte Carlo simulation yields a solution which should be very close to the optimal but not necessarily the exact solution. Anyway, it should be noted that this technique yields a solution to the optimal or correct solution as a number of simulated trades lead to an infinity. Let's see Monte Carlo simulation procedure. There are various steps included in Monte Carlo simulation method. That is step 1 to step 7. In step 1, we will define the problem. Then step 2, construct an appropriate model once the definition of the problem has been occurred. During step 3, we will prepare the model for an experimentation. Once step 3 is completed, we will go to step 4. That is, experiment with the model using steps 1 to step 3. During step 5, we will summarize and examine the results obtained from the previous step, that is step 4. In next step 6, we will evaluate the results of the simulation based on previous steps. And finally, in step 7, we will formulate proposals for advice to management on the course of action to be adopted and modify the model if necessary. These are the main procedures to follow Monte Carlo simulation technique. Let's see each step in detail. First, step 1, that is define the problem. During step 1, initially we will find out the objectives of the problem. Once the objectives of the problem has been found out, we will detect the main factors which will greatly affect on the objectives of the problem. Then step 2. Construct an appropriate model. To construct an appropriate model, we will initially specify the variables and parameters of the model. Once it has been done, we will formulate the appropriate decision rules. That is, state the conditions where the experiment is to be performed. Next, identify the type of distribution that is to be used. It is for models use either theoretical distributions or empirical distributions to state the patterns, the occurrence associated with the variables. After that, we will specify the manner in which time it will change. Finally, we will define the relationship between the variables and parameters. Next, step 3. Prepare the model for an experimentation. Once step 2 has to be completed, we will define the starting conditions of the simulation. Then also specify the number of runs of simulations to be made. Step 4. Using steps 1 to 3, we will experiment with the model. For that, initially we will define a coding system that will correlate the factors defined in step 1 with the random numbers to be generated for the particular simulation. Next, we will select a random number generator and create the random numbers to be used in that simulation. Finally, associate the generated random numbers with the factors identified in step 1 and coded in step 4, step A. Finally, step 5 says that we have to be summarize and examine the results obtained in step 4. Once step 5 has to be completed, we will move on to step 6, that is, evaluate the results of the simulation. Next, we will deal with the last step, step 7, that is, formulate proposals to advise the management on the course of action to be adopted and modify the model. These are the basic steps or the procedure of Monte Carlo simulation technique. Let's deal with an example. The question is like that: the automobile company manufactures around 150 scooters. The daily production varies from 146 to 154 depending upon the availability of new materials and other working conditions. The data which is given have production per day and the corresponding probabilities. Then the finished scooters are transported in a specially arranged lorry accommodating 150 scooters using following random numbers, and we are having certain random numbers also. With this given data, we have to perform the Monte Carlo simulation technique. We have to simulate the process to find out what will be the average number of scooters waiting in the factory. Next, what will be the average number of empty space on the lorry. How we can get the solution for this particular problem. For the solution, initially we will establish the random numbers as shown in the table. Yes, in this table, we are going to perform the random number coding. For that, we are having the table like this. The table contains production per day, probability, cumulative probability and random number assigned. So from the first two columns, we are getting the data from the question given. That is, production on each day and the corresponding probabilities. Now we have to calculate the cumulative probability on every day with respect to certain random number assigned. Let's see how cumulative probability and random number has to be obtained. To obtain the cumulative probability, we have an equation like this: previous cumulative probability plus current probability is equal to cumulative probability. Let's check with an example. Let's find out the production on first day is 147 and its corresponding probability is 0.04. So we have to calculate the cumulative probability on this first day. We have the current cumulative probability as 0.04. There is no previous probability is there. That is, it is the first day. So the previous cumulative probability is 0. So we are summing up 0 to the current probability. So we will get the cumulative probability as 0.04 itself. Let's check the cumulative probability of second day. That is 147 is the production on second day. Corresponding probability is 0.09. And we have to calculate the cumulative probability. We have the previous cumulative probability as 0.04 and the current probability on the second day is 0.09. Now we are going to sum up these two values, 0.04 plus 0.09. We will get 0.03 as the cumulative probability on the second production day. In this way, we will obtain the remaining cumulative probability on every day. Now we are going to assign a random number as a class interval for each production day. How we can calculate the random number according to cumulative probability? Let's check. In the cumulative probability 0.04, the digits after the decimal is 0.4. To obtain the class interval, we are decrementing 1 from the current cumulative probability. So from 0.4, decrementing 1 is 0.3. So let's start the class interval from 0 to 0.3. Let's check in the second row. We have the cumulative probability as 0.13. The decimal part 1.3. So decrementing the 1 from the class interval, we will have 12. And once the 3 has occupied, then the next class interval starts from 0.4. So the class interval on the second production day is 0.4 to 12. In this way, we will fill up the remaining production days with the random numbers. This is all about random number coding. Next up, based on the 15 random numbers given in the question, we are going to simulate the production per day as the table shows below. Now we are going to simulate the production per day. For that, we have a simulation sheet like this. The simulation sheet contains the attributes like serial number, random number, production per day, number of scooters waiting, number of empty space in the lorry. The serial number indicates nothing but it's the number of days. So we have the production of 15 days. So the serial number is from 1 to 50. Then the random number we will get from the question itself. In the simulation sheet, we have to find out the production per day, number of scooters waiting, and number of empty spaces in the lorry. Let's see how to find out the production per day. To obtain the production per day, consider the first day. First day, random number is assigned is 80. Let's check with the previous random number coding table where the random number 80 lies in which class interval. From the previous table we will get 80 belongs to the class interval 80 to 91, and for that class interval the probability or the production per day is 153. So we are assigning the production on the first day is 153. And we have to find out the number of scooters waiting on the first day. From the question, it is mentioned that the maximum capacity of the lorry to obtain the scooters is 150 and our production is 153. So we are subtracting 153 minus 150. So the 3 is the answer, and now 3 scooters has to be weighted on the first day. And there is no empty spaces in the lorry because total 150, the maximum capacity has been occupied with 150 production among 153 productions. On the second day, we have the random number assigned is 81. 81 also lies in the 80 to 90 class. Sorry, 80 to 91 class interval. And the production per day is also 153 and number of scooters waiting is 3 itself. Let's check the sixth day. Sixth day has the random number assigned is 43 and cross verify that 43 comes in which class interval, and we can see that 43 comes in the class interval 39 to 49 and thus class interval have the production 150. So the production per day on the sixth day is 150. The maximum capacity of lorry is 150 and number of production is also 150. So number of scooters waiting on sixth day is 0. So number of empty space in the lorry is also 0. Let's check the 10th day. 10th day has a random number assigned is 12. 12 lies in the class interval 04 to 12 and thus that class interval has the production 147 and 147 is the total production on the 10th day. The maximum capacity of lorry has to occupy the scooters are 150. So 150 minus the maximum capacity is 150. So the production is only 147 and the lorry has 3 empty spaces, that is mentioned here, 3 empty spaces. Like that way we are obtaining all the remaining columns and obtain the number of scooters waiting and number of empty spaces in the lorry as per the production per day. Now we will calculate the total number of scooters waiting through all 15 days and number of empty spaces in the lorry throughout the 15 days, and we will get 21 as the number of scooters waiting from 15 days and number of empty spaces in the lorry is 9. Now we are calculating the average number of scooters waiting, that is the total number of scooters waiting through 15 days is 21. 21 divided by number of days 50, that is equal to 1.4 per day. Next we have to calculate average number of empty spaces, that is number of empty spaces in the lorry through 15 days is 9. 9 divided by total number of days is 15, that is equal to 0.6 per day. Let's see with another example. Example 2. The question is like that the occurrence of a rain in a city on a day is dependent upon whether or not it rained on the previous day. If it rained on the previous day, the rain distribution is like this. Event and probability has given. On the first day, no rain. The probability for no rain is 0.50. For 1 centimeter rain, we have the probability 0.25. 2 centimeter rain have the probability 0.15. 3 centimeter rain have 0.05 probability. 4 centimeter rain has the probability 0.03. Finally, the 5 centimeter rain has the probability 0.02. If it did not rain on the previous day, the rain distribution is like this. If no rain, 0.75 the probability. 1 centimeter rain, 0.15 is the rain probability. 2 centimeter rain have 0.06 probability, and 0.04 is the probability for 3 centimeter rain. And our problem is to simulate the city's weather for 10 days and determine by simulation the total days without rain as well as the total rainfall during the period. Use the following random numbers, and we are having the random numbers like 67, 63, 39, 55, 29, 78, 70, 06, 78, 76. For simulation, assume that for the first day of the simulation it had not rained the day before. For this particular problem, we have the solution like initially we simulate the city's weather with and without rainfall in the following steps. For that, in step 1, we are illustrate the previous day rain distribution. The table like this. The table has event, probability, cumulative probability, then random number, range. The columns event and probability have the data from the question. So next column we have to fill with the cumulative probability. We know how to identify the cumulative probability. Cumulative probability can be obtained by summing up the previous cumulative probability plus the current probability. That is, let's see the first event, no rain. No rain has the probability 0.50. It has no cumulative probability previously. So we are adding the current probability 0.50 plus 0. That is, cumulative probability is equal to 0.50. In the next event, 1 centimeter rain, we have the probability 0.25. So the cumulative probability can be obtained by using the previous cumulative probability, that is 0.50 plus the current probability 0.25. While we are adding these two factors, we are getting the current cumulative probability of event 1 centimeter rain is that 0.75. Like that way, we will identify the remaining cumulative probability of every event. And we have to assign the random number range. That also we saw how to fill the random number range. Random number range is nothing but it's a class interval by decrementing 1 from the cumulative probability given. So we are arranging the random number range also. In the step 2, we will illustrate previous day no rain distribution, and it would be like this: event, probability, cumulative probability, and random number range. According to the second column in the question, we are illustrate the event and probability with cumulative probability and random number range. Using the same method used in the step 1, we are following in step 2 also. So let's move on to step 3. In step 3, simulate for 10 days using the given random numbers according to the situation. For that, we need to create a table like this. In this table, we have the columns like day, random number, events, and cumulative rain. The first column, day, is according to the 10 days we have. Then the random numbers to be filled according to the question given. Then the events can be identified by using the second probability table, that is, we are created in step 2. So that we can find like this. Let's see on this first day. The first day the random number assigned is 67. Let's check 67 lies in which class interval in the second table. Because in the second step we created the distribution, that is no rain on the previous day. So 67 is between 00 to 74. So that event is no rain. According to that, we will check each class interval with the day random number. So fill the remaining columns like that. Let's see two more columns. 63 come on which class interval? In the second table. Yes, it is in the first class interval, that is 0 to 74. And 39 also no rain category. And let's see on the 6th day, it is 78. That comes between the second class interval in the second table. So that is 1 centimeter rain is the event that can be happened on the 6th day. So the cumulative rain is 1 centimeter. In previous question we see how to obtain the cumulative probability. So the same thing is like that. So we will fill all the columns according to this. Finally, we are obtaining the solution like during the simulated period, it did not rain on 6 out of 10 days. The total rainfall during the period is 5 centimeter. During the period it did not rain on 6 out of 10 days means that we will get 6 days are no rain. The first 6 days have no rain. Then the total rainfall during the period is only 5. That is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2. That is 5. Let's move on to the advantages of Monte Carlo simulations. The first advantage is probabilistic results. Results which show not only what could happen but how likely each outcome is. The second advantage is graphical results. It is nothing but it's easy to create graphs of different outcomes and their chances of occurrence. This is important for communicating findings to other stakeholders. The next advantages of Monte Carlo simulation is sensitive analysis. In Monte Carlo simulation, it's easy to see which inputs had the biggest effect on bottom line results. These are some of the advantages of Monte Carlo simulation technique. Let's move on to limitations of Monte Carlo simulations. The various limitations of this method are: it only provides us with statistical estimates of results, not exact figures. The next limitation is it is fairly complex and only be carried out using specially designed software, and that could be very expensive. And the next limitation is the complexity of the process may cause errors which leads to wrong results that can be potentially misleading the solution. Okay, now we are going to discuss the various applications we are used in Monte Carlo simulations. The first application is it is applied to a wide diversity of problems such as queuing problems, inventory problems, risk analysis concerning a major capital investment. Let's see the next application. It is used to value projects that require significant amounts of funds and which may have future financial implications on a company. And the third application is it can be used to simulate profit or loss in online trading of stocks. And the next application is simulation of the values of assets and liabilities of a pension benefit scheme. Finally, it can also be used to value complex securities such as American or European options. Okay, finally let's move on to our conclusion. The Monte Carlo analysis is an important method adopted by managers to calculate the many possible project completion dates and the most likely budget required for the project. Also, using this information gathered through the Monte Carlo analysis, project managers are able to give senior management the statistical evidence for the time required to complete a project as well as propose a suitable budget. This is all about Monte Carlo simulation in operational research mechanisms. Here is getting over my presentation. Thank you all, and hope you all have understood the topic Monte Carlo simulation method and the various examples which we are dealt, and hope you are familiar with the applications, limitations and advantages of Monte Carlo simulation method. And I would now be interested to hear from you with your thoughts or questions. Thank you.